sawmill on the very next lake.
I assume this is one way.
No, it's two ways, and I'm hoping that they will
Right.
give us a little bit of a break by heading over to the side. They should, because we are supposed to be here at certain times. They're going the other way anyway. Okay, so anyway, they made them into canals. They were fighting the current as we are today. This is the kind of tree they would have been after. Just here to the left, now Elizabeth, it's a long needle southern pine. Now, I don't know if any of you are local, but this is something that drives locals crazy. They can't even understand. This is Osceola Avenue. We're going to have to duck, number one. Number two, it changes names 3 times in a half. First it's Fairbanks, then it's Osceola, then it's Brewer, and finally Aloma. But you don't have to remember any of those names, as long as you remember to duck for the pipes, because they'll mess with your part or your firm or worse. So the water's not that high, but just you know,
Scary.
cautionary duck.
Oh,
Okay? How'd we do?
we
Much
did
better than
good.
my last three.
No
Thank you.
missing kids.
Wow.
Yeah, that was not pretty. Now up ahead, this natural bridge is a little higher, so there's no need to duck here. This is a horizontal limb of a live oak tree. And this picture right here has been on countless tour book covers, some magazine covers, and here we are living it live today. Now look at the top of this tree. Take a look at that foliage. It's all kind of brown and looks dead. It's not. It's something called resurrection fern. All we need is proper moisture content, a little bit of rain overnight, and it magically or even miraculously greens up overnight. And that's where it got the name resurrection fern. In fact, it was timed perfectly for Easter Sunday. We had a big rainstorm on Holy Saturday, and bang, there it was for Easter Sunday.
That's cool.
Now, if you are bound and determined to see an alligator on the trip, I suggest looking low and left, and please lower your expectations. This guy is a bit of a stoner. He's been with us for years. He's just not going anywhere in his life, and he will be here, I guarantee it, on the return trip. Yeah. Do we have somebody behind us? Yeah, we do. They always want to know.
Where's the alligator?
At least one more. At least one more. At
I
least
know,
one
but
more.
where? Oh, I missed it.
This is Lake Virginia, by the way. And our first, this was named for the guy who ran the sawmill, where the logs were floating upstream to. Did I mention that they were fighting the current because everything flows north to the St. John's? I was supposed to. Anyway, our first non-native settlers were from Georgia. Their name was Mizell. David Mizell and his big family showed up here in 1858, just before the Civil War. They settled here, and they called this area Lakeview for obvious reasons, but they didn't live like this. They had a little log cabin about a half-mile east of here, on which they raised citrus, cotton, cattle, and kids. They called it Lakeview, but the post office had other ideas. They wanted to call it Osceola. And the post office, being the government, of course, won the day. So it became Osceola instead, and it's all Winter Park today. And the Mizell name lives on with us today. If you look over on the left, you're going to see a little sliver of lake. That is Lake Mizell, 62 acres in size, right there through that bridge where the little jet skis go. And it's a great lake for paddling, kayaking, and canoeing, because for the most part, the big boats don't go there, and you're not allowed to wakeboard. So this little starter home off to the left, believe it or not, began as a gentleman's club, but not the kind you're thinking. The year was 1920, and the businessmen of Winter Park wanted a little getaway, a little place for after-hours activities, but it never got off the ground. I think that the wives found out about it and put the kibosh to the whole thing. So it became a private home, just the center section, mind you. Rollins College took it over in the 50s and used it as a music conservatory. Now it's back in private hands, and the new owners have tripled the size. They added a wing to the left and a wing to the right, and they installed the most beautiful lawn on the entire chain of lakes. But here's the secret. That is AstroTurf.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, your $14 does get you complete and utter waving privileges. You can wave at anyone, at any time, and for the most part, if their hands aren't on an oar, they're going to wave. This is all Genius Drive through here, and that's a family name around here, not necessarily a measure of your intellect. But let's face it, you've got to be pretty smart, pretty savvy to live like this in homes like these, in a spot where you can enjoy the sun rising over one lake in the morning, Lake Mizell, and the sun setting over another lake in the afternoon, Lake Virginia. Now I mentioned the name Genius because it is storied in art history in Winter Park, but I maintain the real genius in the story of our town. It has another last name, and that is Morse. We came down Morse Boulevard to get to the tour. There's the Morse Museum with all that beautiful Tiffany stained glass just 3 blocks north. That's a must-do, but all our museums are closed on Monday. Excellent. Fast learners up here. Okay, good. So, Mr. Morse, Charles Hosmer by name, was a genius. He owned half the town at one point, and he was shrewd. He bought all this land, 200 acres in the 20s, and he paid $3 an acre. Today, you can't touch a lot, much less an acre, for under $1 million, and that's not going to get you a house. That would just get you the land or the sand. But he was very generous. He gave us the land for the Winter Park 9, our little golf course, the land for Central Park, and ladies, the land for the Winter Park Women's Club, which is a thriving success ever since 1915. Exactly right. So, guys, we lose again, and that's just history. And so is this. This is the Genius Estate. It is 50 of the original 200 acres. It's a nature preserve. No one will ever build anything more on that spot. And it's also the home of our peacocks. You may know that's the symbol of our town. Started out with 2. That was McCain's granddaughter's idea. Then there were 200. They had to run the town. But now they're down to maybe 20 or 30. And they stay pretty close to the nature preserve because no one bothers them. Now I'd like to invite you to hang on to your hats and your checkbooks because we are off to college.
How did they name this Virginia, Lake Virginia?
It was because the man from the sawmill, his name was Nichols. I think it was Nichols, and he was from Virginia.
I'm from Virginia, that's why I
Well,
asked.
you might have claim to this place. You might want to check at City Hall.
Okay.
Just to be sure, before you leave town, do that. They're closed today. Okay, can everybody hear me back there? Yes, if you can hear me. Okay. This is Rollins College off to our right, 80 acres of academia and beautiful property right here on the northern shore of Lake Virginia. The centerpiece is the spire of the Knowles Memorial Chapel, named for one of the founders, but obviously another one of the founders was named Rollins, Alonzo Rollins from Chicago. He sealed the deal when the Congregational Church of Florida was looking for a place to build a mini Ivy. He ponied up $50,000 in land and cash, and Winter Park won the deal. Other cities were not too happy. They started this whispering campaign that this was all swampland and it would never flourish. See, there was fake news even back then. Well, it's done very well for itself. Rollins opened in 1885. The campus has been named to the most beautiful campus list in America, put out every year by Princeton Review twice. One time it topped the list. 2 years ago, it was named the second best private university in the American South. Even though they call themselves a college, they could call themselves a university because they have more than one college. They choose to keep college. Sounds better. So when they opened the doors in 1885, what do you suppose tuition was hereabouts?
500.
That's a very good guess. Actually, it was $32.
Oh.
But 132 more if you wanted room and board. So a total of 164. Nowadays, it's closer to 64,000. But you'll be happy to know that 60% of the 3,000 undergrads get some kind of financial aid. But I've got a way of getting you through Rollins for free. That's my secret. If you're interested, I will continue. I can't actually promise you a diploma. You do have to exercise just the tiniest bit, but there's this dandy nature path that goes from the west end of campus all the way through to the east. Starts out right over there by that pier, or you can fish, or if you're discreet, sunbathe. It goes right by the pool here, not quite Olympic size, but plenty big for competitive swimming. And you walk along the shore of Lake Virginia, you never lose sight of it, and you never lose sight of the beautiful Spanish architecture that predominates on campus. They're building here, as you can obviously see, because of the buoys and the screening. This is going to be a large residence hall, U-shaped, open to the lake, with a pool in the middle. Now, wait a minute, isn't there a pool right over here? Yeah, there is. There'll be a pool right here, too. Yeah, it's Rollins. I don't know how these poor kids stand 4 years in this place. It's amazing. It is tough. They're made of steely stuff, I'm sure. So along the way you can rest if you're tiring on our half-mile journey on the nature path. See those benches over there to the left? If you get closer, they look like boats. They're called boat benches, and they're the gift of a 2011 alumni. There's art all over campus, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Well, I should probably say you haven't seen anything yet. It's, after all, it's a college. My mom was an English teacher. It's a blessing, it's a curse. So I don't point out things like classroom buildings because every school has them, but I point out the things you might not expect to see on campus, like the greenhouse, like the boathouse. This is the Alphon boathouse, one of two. There's another one on another lake that we'll go by. And right here, the nature path becomes one with the dock. sometimes exceeds at everything, or succeeds, and not exceeds, but sometimes they may go overboard. Anything that involves water in competition. So, swimming, sailing, skiing. This is the ski jump. And crew, absolutely, that's coming up. The ski jump, they put that away for the summertime because, you know, the drivers might get ideas, but we cannot go over that anymore. Sad to say. This is an art museum. This is called the Cornell Fine Arts Museum, home to more than 5,000 works of art. They rotate the collection. They closed down for about a week just recently. They're reopened now, and so they've shuffled everything around. You don't see the same thing every time you go in there. You'd love the admission price. I just can't mention what it is because I can't use the F word on the boat. So I think you get the sense of what they're expecting when you walk in. They'll take donations, of course. That is an anhinga on that little branch over there. The bird that you see with his wings spread. More on those later if we see more of them. They're called snake birds. But let's get back to the path. It takes a jog to the left and to the right and ends in pretty dramatic fashion. Right there with that overlook where you're about 12 to 15 feet over the lake. So you've got a great view of it, the campus, and this little city park that has its share of history. This is where the sawmill would have been, so the logs would end up here. It was also the end of the line for a railroad of some ill repute called the Orlando and Winter Park Railway. Narrow gauge line that constantly left the tracks. But since they ran right through Rollins, they would always ask the kids to help and get the train back on the tracks for the next run back to Orlando. The kids complied, but they were college kids. They didn't like doing that, and they made fun of the railroad. They called it the Dinky Line. And you know what? The name stuck. This is Dinky Dock to this day. Just next door, a little postage stamp part of the Rollins campus. This is Sutton Place. It used to be a private apartment building. Rollins bought it, greatly improved the outside at least, making it a residence hall. They wrapped the pool, the existing pool, there's that